Hey, Jamie Stenhouse here, currently in London, and I want to answer a question I got asked about the other week, something that I've asked myself a lot when I first began entrepreneurship, and that was, when should I begin building my personal brand? Should I wait to have a product so I can monetize the process? Should I begin straight away so I'm ahead when I go to launch, but then I can't capitalize on my energy, time and efforts? When is the best time to launch out your personal brand and to begin building it? So I'm going to share my insights and my thoughts on that question today. Alright, so having a personal brand obviously has a lot of upside to it. You're able to sell from your own name, you're able to create leverage, you're able to really monetize your content and sell your expertise, and also position yourself as the expert in the marketplace, you under your own name personally. However, when many people get into it, when they begin their personal brand journey, a lot of them don't have a product. So they're confused about, well, do I begin creating content, putting time, energy and effort into something that won't pay out until I create a product? But then on the flip side, if you were to create a product first without a personal brand, you won't probably sell as many as you want to. So it's kind of a two-sided coin, whereby, well, do you begin with the brand or the profit first? So I just want to share my thoughts on that quickly. And when I look at it, and the best way to answer is to look at what I've done in the past for myself, and maybe things I wish I had known before, things I wish I had changed, was I wish I had began sooner. So I began my quote-unquote personal brand when I began leading from the front, when I began putting out content and teaching and doing keynotes, public presentations, events, interviews. When I began that, I was 22/23. I wish I began when I was 18, if not sooner. Even if I wasn't selling anything at 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, at least I would have been out there creating content, sharing my thoughts, growing a following, creating a platform so that maybe later I can sell from. So when I began my personal brand at 23, it wasn't a definitive creation. It was more like, okay, now I'm going to begin sharing my entrepreneurship thoughts. Now I'm going to begin creating content constantly. Now I'm going to begin getting out there in a large way. So the best answer I can say is begin your marketing before you need it. Begin your marketing before you need it. So if you want to sell a course, begin your personal brand before you need the personal brand to sell for you, right? So begin your marketing before you need it. That's a big one, because if you begin your marketing when you need it to work, there's no time to get traction. There's no time to test the idea, to get the leads, qualify them, warm them up, and push them through the sales process before you need it to work. So in beginning your marketing before you need it, it's a great rule of thumb really for any campaign. So the best answer would be to begin your personal brand before you need it to actually work. So if you have a course idea, then begin working on your personal brand before you want to sell the course, obviously, right? That gives you the platform. The question I had was, should I begin my personal brand now, even though I'm creating a course that won't be ready for about 6 months, or should I wait 6 months until I have the course ready? And of course, my answer was begin right now. Begin where you are with what you have to create your personal brand, create the goodwill, create the list. And when I say list, I don't just mean email lists. I mean social media lists, connections, groups, and your email list, right? So begin growing a list on all platforms. Pretty much begin growing a following of qualified prospects or even influencers or audience members before you need them to work for you, right? So begin your marketing before you need it. That rule of thumb again and again. So in growing your personal brand or even launching it before you need it to work, you're able to grow goodwill. So you're able to put goodwill into your name, which allows you to withdraw that goodwill into tangible sales when it comes time to sell. You're able to create brand equity, a recognizable face as well. You're able to create content that can use consistently when it comes time to launch out your course, right? So you always want to begin before you need things to pretty much work. So if you're thinking about creating an online brand, or if you're thinking about, even if it's not your own brand, but you want to create an online brand for a future product or program or anything like that, begin now, because a year from now, you may have wished you had began today. And I know that's super corny, but I know for myself, although I began my personal brand quite young, I've had it for 4 years now. I've been training entrepreneurs in how to generate customers online through my personal brand. I wish I had began almost immediately even if it wasn't for the teaching point of view, but just to have that following there, right? So begin your personal brand before you need it to work, and it will pay you endlessly when it comes time to sell something. If you look at Gary Vaynerchuk, this guy has a phenomenal personal brand. He's always putting out content, sharing his insights and journey, not to sell anything, but rather just to build the goodwill, so that when he comes time to his next book, he can sell you a $14 book with high conversion rates, because he's been putting out content well before he needs it to convert. So another school of thought is around that as well, is to begin putting out content with no intention to sell the prospects. So if you're putting out content through your personal brand with the intention to just sell them, just to get the leads, just to quickly get some people in because you need the money, or if you have a agenda behind your content or behind helping your marketplace by putting out free content, you're gonna find yourself in a place where you're not gonna win long term, all right? So the best approach is to begin putting out content before you need it to make you money, and that way you're able to grow a congruent following who like you for you, not because you're trying to slide them into maybe opting into a list or maybe purchasing a product in the future. You're simply trying to help them as a expert to the marketplace. And then when it comes time to launch out your course, you can afford to throw that right hook, because you've been helping them with no agenda until the present moment when your course is ready, where you can go ahead and sell them and hopefully help them out further. So in short, to tie this all up, begin your personal brand immediately, even if it's just a Facebook page and maybe you upload an article once or twice a week even. Just begin immediately, because you're gonna be grateful that you began sooner than later, because you're gonna have that traction there, you're gonna have the audience, you're gonna have that track history and that recognizable face and name you can leverage from when you do want to monetize it. So begin where you are now, begin your marketing before you need it to work, and you'll be forever happy. I mean, I wish I began years earlier. I think if you ask anyone in any industry, they can all agree that whatever they are doing or they were doing, they wish they had began earlier. There's never a time or a opportunity where you go, you know what, I wish I had began later. That's very rarely going to happen, right? So always begin sooner than later, and the dividends that it will pay you out for your efforts the sooner you begin will outweigh anything if you begin, you know, a few hours or a few weeks before you need it to actually work. So begin your personal brand where you are, begin getting out there in a larger way, and just begin playing at the level that you want to ultimately play at, but begin playing at it now.